So let me guess, you're trying to figure out how to win your first ever client because you feel stuck. You feel stuck in your job, you feel stuck in your life, and you think that you should be considerably more successful than you are right now. But all you see online is everybody else winning. They're winning on Instagram, they're winning on TikTok, they're winning on Twitter, they may even be winning on LinkedIn. Why is everybody winning except for you? Hi, my name is Joe Binder, and by the time I turned 26, I had already scaled my first business to £1 million, but I wouldn't have done it unless I had signed my first ever client. In this video, I'm going to outline the exact 5 steps that will allow you to sign your first client, and I'll share how I did it my way. So before you can sell a thing to anyone, you need to understand, what are you selling? What is the product you're offering somebody? What is the service you're offering them? And you need to be really, really specific. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you are selling social media services. Well, that means nothing. It's too vague. So what are you actually selling? You're selling the creation of Instagram posts. That still means nothing, because people know what an Instagram post is, but they don't know what you mean. Because an Instagram post doesn't just mean a post on the platform that is Instagram. It means a photo, which is necessary, or a piece of graphic design, or a screenshot of something, or a reel, or a video. You need to be specific. And then it also means a caption. It also means tagging the location or tagging the people involved. It also might mean that you're going to share it with a few people who can then jump on and like the post when it goes live. In other words, if you say you're doing social media services, that's quite vague. In order to sell your first client, you need to understand, firstly, what you're actually doing, and you need to be specific. So the way that you brand it for the client is slightly different, but the way you need to first understand it is really, really specific. So don't internalize the fact that you're doing social media services. Internalize the fact that you are doing 8 pieces of visual content, whether it's graphic design or photos, combined with 8 captions, combined with everything else that is going to be needed to get those from one place, i.e. your brain, to another, i.e. your client's social media feed. So ultimately, step 1 is pretty simple. Decide what you're selling. And if you don't know what you're selling, then make something up and just go for it. Step 2 is decide your proposition. In other words, you now need to package this for the client. So you understand what is needed from your end, the inputs that are going into it. Now you need to frame it in a way that's understandable for the client. So look, if you're speaking to somebody who is an expert in social media and you're selling to them social media services, sure, you can describe what you're doing as social media services. However, you still need to be clear on the deliverables. And that means you need to tell them exactly what you're going to do for them. And ideally, you want to tell them the impact it's going to have. But if this is your first ever client, I'm going to save that for now because that's for later down the line. For now, what you need to do is be really clear. Client, you are going to pay me this amount of money and I'm going to deliver this amount of stuff, and I'm going to do it well. Step 3 is identify who your audience is and who you're actually trying to sell to. I see so many entrepreneurs wasting their time trying to sell stuff to people who don't want to be sold to. If you have a brand new limited edition pair of sneakers, do not try to sell them to the local accountant who wears the same shoes every day. They are not in the market to buy a limited edition pair of sneakers. It makes no sense. If you're trying to create a new website for somebody, try to find somebody who clearly wants a website, i.e. they have one, but perhaps it's a little bit outdated. In other words, you could improve it. Don't waste time trying to sell stuff to people who don't need it or don't want it. Spend more time trying to figure out who actually wants this stuff and then start there. Step 4 is controversial, and I don't care because this is the thing that entrepreneurs do, which they're not going to tell you. There is a world of people who say that you should never work for free, and I'm here to tell you they are wrong. I'm joking. That's not fair for me to say that they're wrong, but what I will say is they probably haven't done it. I think it's going to be rare, and I'll stand by this, to find a very successful entrepreneur who hasn't done their time working for free. Because when you work for free, you don't actually work for free. You actually pay somebody with your hours for the ability to learn from them. In other words, don't exchange money as the value exchange, exchange time and learnings as the value exchange. In other words, if you can afford to, actually, no, this isn't about whether or not you can afford to do this. If you're trying to make this company a thing, you will make it a thing. And one of the things that I suggest you do is make this proposition really easy for the client and say to them, hey, I'm gonna do a great job. Rather than charging you £500 to do it, or £800, which is what I'm hoping to charge, I actually wanna do this for free. However, it comes with the expectation that if you like this and if you're proud of the work, then you give me a testimonial that I can use on my marketing materials. That then helps you get this first client, and that means when you go to the next client, which is a paid client, you get to say, hey, look at all the great work we did for this client. Oh, and by the way, look at what they said about us. And that helps. The whole topic of working for free is very much up for debate. However, I know that in speaking to you, I'm speaking to a human who wants to build a business. It is not an easy thing to do, and you find the ways to do it. That's my genuine advice, I'll always be honest with you. Step 5 is if you're promising the A-game service, you have to deliver the A-game. And what that means is as follows. If you commit to deliver a service for somebody and you say it's going to be really good, it is 100% your responsibility to make sure it is really good. It doesn't matter if it's raining, it doesn't matter if the trains are late, it doesn't matter if the footage gets corrupted. If you promise somebody something, you have to deliver on it. And if you can't, for reasons outside of your control, you must then make it up to them. I recently worked with a phenomenal videographer who did a really great job, but when he sent me the footage, he said, Joe, I'm really sorry, some of the footage has lost its audio and you might not be able to use it for what you need. Here's the invoice. And when I received that, I thought, hold on a minute, you promised me the A game and now you've delivered the B game service. That doesn't add up and you still want me to pay. Now, I would never say to somebody, I'm not paying you, that's not my style. But what I did do was I left it a couple of days and then I called him and I said, look, I want to give you feedback and here's my feedback in a nutshell. If you mess up when you promise somebody that you're going to do a great job, it's 100% your responsibility to then unmess up. And if you can't unmess up because it's now in the past, you need to show that you understand that actually that's a really big deal for that footage to not work out. And it's a really big deal to have promised this client one thing and to not have delivered. And you've got to say, hands up, I screwed up, I'm really sorry. I'm going to try and make it better for next time. Here's an idea that I've already had to try to make it better. It is on you. If you're promising something and you don't deliver, you've got to deliver. Otherwise, what are you doing out here trying to start a business? Come on. Those are the exact 5 steps that I used to win my first client. Which ones do you resonate with? Which ones do you not resonate with? Let me know below.